Most men destroy attraction before it even begins, not with what they say, not even with what they do, but with what they fail to notice. The silent language of desire hides in every glance, every pause, every shift of her body. When you enter the room, she will never admit it. She will never announce it. But if you know where to look, you will see the signals that separate the blind from the awakened. A woman is not built to confess her longing directly. That is not her nature. She dances around it. She tests. She hides. She reveals herself only to the man strong enough to see without being told. And most men, blind, needy, distracted, miss it entirely. They chase words, while attraction lives in shadows. They ask questions, while the truth burns in her silence. Imagine her eyes. They don't linger long, but they return again and again, as if pulled by gravity. Her voice softens when she speaks to you, carrying a melody not heard when she speaks to others. When you lean back in calm detachment, she leans forward, restless, caught in the tension. These are not accidents. They are not random sparks. They are the deep language of the feminine, timeless, archetypal, woven into her bones. But here lies the tragedy. Most men never catch them. They are too desperate to notice. You've seen it before. The man who hovers too close, who over-explains, who mistakes her politeness for desire. His presence suffocates. His energy drains her. He confuses chasing with magnetism. And in doing so, he kills the very spark that was waiting to ignite. But then, there is the other man, the rare one, the one she remembers. He doesn't chase, he doesn't push. He notices, he sees, he feels the current beneath the surface, and he waits. That man becomes unforgettable. And it's in that silence, where most men fail, that the real test begins. Because a woman secretly wants the man who can sense her attraction without demanding her confession. The man who recognizes her signals but refuses to beg for them. The man who allows mystery to breathe. Attraction is not built through noise. It is born in silence. It is not declared. It is revealed, and the signs are everywhere. The way she laughs a little too loudly when you speak. The way her body angles toward you when another man is trying to hold her attention. The way her energy shifts when you withdraw, as if some invisible cord between you suddenly grew tense. This is the hidden battlefield, not of words, not of overt gestures, but of subtle tension, archetypal pull, shadowed glances, and primal signals. And if you fail to see it, you lose before you even begin. She wants you to know, without her telling you. She wants to feel you are the kind of man who does not need instructions. If she has to spell it out, the spell breaks. If she has to lead, attraction collapses. You must step into the role not of the pursuer, but of the one she yearns to be pursued by. You must carry the silence that makes her restless, the detachment that makes her lean closer, the presence that burns deeper than 1,000 words. Understand this truth. Attraction is never equal. She wants to feel pulled into your orbit, not invited into your uncertainty. The signs are there, but they are hidden, coded, ancient. They belong to the feminine, and if you cannot read them, you will always be a step behind. This is not about playing games. It is about awakening to reality, about understanding what her unconscious already knows, about becoming the kind of man whose stillness exposes her secret longing. Most men will ignore these truths. They will stay blind. They will chase shadows. They will talk themselves into oblivion. But you are not most men. You are here, listening, watching, ready to see what others cannot. And once you see, you cannot unsee. Once you understand, you cannot return to ignorance. Her silence speaks. Her body betrays her. Her signals burn quietly in the dark. The question is, will you recognize them before they vanish? Because if you miss them, if you hesitate, if you rush in with need, Instead of standing with power, she will disappear, and she will remember you only as the man who could not see. But if you notice, if you wait, if you let her reveal herself, instead of forcing her hand, she will remember you differently, as the man she secretly wanted but could never quite possess. The man who saw without asking. The man who carried silence like a weapon. The man who understood her without words. And that man, the one who listens to what she doesn't say, will always stand above the rest. She does not fall for the loudest man in the room. She falls for the man who holds his center, whose silence unsettles her, whose presence demands her attention without begging for it. Carl Jung called it the anima, the secret feminine hidden inside the male psyche. Women feel this too. They search for the reflection of their own hidden depths in men. This is why her attraction leaks in signals. Never in words, she secretly craves the man she cannot fully control, the one who carries mystery, restraint, and quiet power. When she lingers in your orbit, she is not waiting for words. She is waiting for polarity, masculine stillness against feminine motion, your detachment against her curiosity, your discipline against her chaos. This is the dynamic that fuels attraction across centuries, across cultures, across myths. Every story of forbidden desire carries this truth. The man she cannot quite possess becomes the man she cannot forget. Look deeper. When she laughs, does her hand graze your arm in passing? When she speaks, does her voice soften, carrying a warmth that no one else receives? When you withdraw, does her energy spike, restless at the absence of your focus? These are not surface gestures. They are unconscious leaks of her attraction. The feminine is subtle because directness destroys polarity. At the bar, she leans closer when her friend speaks, but her eyes keep finding you. At work, she asks questions she already knows the answer to, just to start a small thread of connection. At a party, she drifts near your circle, laughing a little too loudly when you speak. If she announces desire, the mystery collapses, but if she hides it, she can keep feeding it. That is why she sends smoke instead of fire, waiting to see if you can detect the flame beneath. And here lies the masculine test: to perceive without reacting, to notice without exposing need, to remain unmoved even as she stirs. The weak man collapses under this pressure. He sees a glance and leaps in too quickly. He mistakes a smile for surrender. He speaks too much, acts too fast, reveals too soon. His energy spills, and with it, her attraction dies. But the grounded man, the man she secretly wants, knows the game is not speed, it is gravity. He does not lean into her. He waits for her to lean into him. He does not ask if she is interested. He lets her prove it with every glance, every step closer, every restless silence. This is not arrogance. It is archetypal truth. The feminine desires to be drawn into orbit, not to pull a man into hers. She wants a man who cannot be swayed by her games, who can watch without trembling, who can remain sovereign, even as she tries to stir his desire. Think of it as a battle of unseen forces, your stillness against her movement, your detachment against her hints, your power against her curiosity. If you maintain center, you win. If you chase, you lose. Notice how she reacts when you give your attention to the world instead of to her. The man who invests himself in his mission becomes magnetic. She wants the man who disappears at the right moment, who walks away even when she wants more, who refuses to trade his freedom for her validation. This is what Jungian psychology reveals. Desire is rooted in projection. She does not want you for who you are alone, but for what you represent. To her unconscious, you are the symbol of strength, of mystery, of control. And if you break that symbol, if you reveal weakness, desperation, or dependence, you shatter the projection, and her attraction evaporates. Understand this: She will never confess it outright. She will deny. She will test. She will hide. But her body, her eyes, her tone, her energy will betray her every time. And your task is not to demand, but to recognize, not to rush, but to remain, not to conquer her, but to conquer yourself. For attraction is not about what you can get from her. It is about what you can hold within yourself. The man who sees her signals but does not bend to them, that man becomes a mystery she cannot solve. The man who notices her desire but does not collapse into it, that man becomes the one she chases in silence. This is the hidden law of attraction. What you do not need, you attract. What you chase, you repel. She secretly wants you, but only if you can stand without needing her to say it. The signals are there, everywhere. The only question is whether you are strong enough to see them without losing yourself in the process. Her attraction is never declared. It hides in her hesitation, in the way her hand lingers too long when she gives something to you, in the pause before she turns away, in the stolen glance when she thinks you're not watching. These are the 10,000 whispers of desire, but only the man who carries stillness hears them. This is where masculine power is tested, not in how fast you move, but in how deep you wait. A woman secretly wants the man who refuses to be swayed by surface signs, the man who remains unshaken, even as her energy tries to provoke him. Understand this truth. Attraction burns hottest in uncertainty. If she knows she has you, her desire fades. If she must wonder, she invests. If she feels she cannot control you, her obsession begins. This is why women circle back to the man who disappears. He haunts her imagination. He lingers in her dreams. He remains the one who cannot be contained. But this requires discipline. You must not reveal desperation. You must not fill silence with nervous words. You must not give more than her signals deserve. Every gesture she makes is a test, not of whether you can see, but of whether you can hold yourself in the face of her hidden fire. If you rush to expose her attraction, you kill it. If you sit in stillness, she surrenders to it. This is red pill, truth stripped bare. Women are drawn, not to men who worship them, but to men they cannot fully possess. She will never tell you this. She will deny it. She will demand reassurance from the weak man and give her body to the one who denies it. Her nature is paradox. She wants closeness, but only when you withhold it. She wants attention, but only when you do not offer it freely. She wants to feel chosen, but only by the man who chooses himself first. And so the signals continue. The shift of her body toward you in a crowded space, the spark in her eyes when you speak with other women, the sudden sweetness in her tone when she feels you drifting away. These are not random. They are her unconscious strategy. She is revealing her attraction while pretending she is not. She is feeding your curiosity while guarding her pride. You must rise above this dance, not as a manipulator, not as a beggar, but as a sovereign man who understands the game without being swallowed by it. Masculine empowerment begins here, in the recognition that her desire is never yours to control, but always yours to command through presence. The man who owns his silence becomes irresistible. The man whose mission burns brighter than her attention becomes unforgettable. The man who stands unshaken, like stone against the storm, becomes untouchable. And this is where freedom lies, not in chaining her to you, but in standing so firmly in your worth that she cannot escape the pull. The woman who secretly wants you will not confess it, but she will circle you, test you, provoke you, and wait for the crack. If none appears, her attraction deepens until it consumes her. That is the hidden art of polarity. That is why some men haunt women for years, while others are forgotten in days. The final truth is simple. She does not truly want your words. She does not even want your touch at first. She wants your presence, unshaken, unmoved, undeniable. The man who knows his worth chases nothing. He attracts everything. Stay on the path, subscribe, and walk the Stoic road with us.